Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're turning this cargo van into this camper van. And today's step is building the electrical cabinet. The goal here was to build something strong enough to hold all the electrical components securely, but still easy to work with and access, and modular enough to fit around the wheel well. After considering options, we decided to use extruded aluminum. A lot of people refer to this as 80/20, but that's just a brand name. There are several manufacturers out there that make extruded aluminum and the components used to assemble it. And I used a mix of them for this build. So we wanted to balance price and delivery time. What we found is that the places that can get you the material the quickest usually charge more, right? You pay for that speed. We generally used a company called T-Nuts, which has been a great supplier. It has good quality and less expensive than other places. You order online and the delivery is from somewhere in the Northwest. So we laid out what we thought we would need and ordered ahead, including a handful of different components to have available as we worked through the build. Inside corners, outside corners, connectors, things like that. And when certain components got low, we'd order more. And I do have links for these in the description. And then for material needed quickly, Grainger was good. They have warehouses in a lot of places, so most things could be delivered next day, at least where I'm at here in Southwest Michigan. We also purchased from a local aluminum supplier some of the bar stock, the heavier items, right? Sometimes we didn't know how much would be needed, and they had it in stock in 20-foot lengths, so it was easy to just go right here in town and pick that up whenever we needed more. So the buying strategy was plan ahead, T-Nuts for bulk, Grainger when we needed things quickly, and then local for bar stock as needed. One of the first things we did was lay out the electrical components inside the van to determine how big the cabinet needed to be and where everything would go. There are some bigger, heavier components like batteries and the inverter, and then several smaller components that need space also. And the electrical cabinet will be located on the driver's side behind and above the wheel well. The batteries, which are heavy, will sit directly on the floor to keep the center of gravity low, and the components will be mounted above the wheel well. The other consideration was the inverter, which needs airflow. So we opted to mount this on the back outside of the cabinet. Seemed to be a pretty good location based on the overall setup. So really just trying to maximize space, keep the center of gravity low, and make sure the inverter has room to breathe. In terms of building the cabinet, the approach, as you'll see, was to build it outside the van, attach the smaller components, then install it into the van, and then drop those heavy batteries in last. So once everything was measured and cabinet size was determined, it was time to cut down the aluminum stock. And I will say, be careful here. Make sure you have your safety gear on and have that aluminum clamp down in your saw, right, so it doesn't kick back at you. Once the stock was cut, the frame assembly began, with each section squared during the process. And a few notes here, there are several options for connecting the frame pieces, and the choice depends on the cabinet's design specifics, whether that means using an inside corner bracket, an exterior plate, or a hidden fastener. The connector we use the most is this 2-hole inside corner bracket. That's pretty standard. This 4-hole inside corner gusset was also very helpful, space permitting, and when a more solid connection was needed, right? So around the battery compartments, as an example. We also used a few other joining corners and plates, and I'll leave all those details in the description, and feel free to reach out with any questions. Some of the connectors are purpose-built, and I've tested several of these out and happy to share what I've learned. Another method for connecting the framing is to drill and tap the end of the aluminum bar to add threaded inserts. So this approach is one of those options if you're going to put panels inside the grooves of the bar stock, which I did in several places. It gives a much cleaner look, and the corner brackets don't get in the way of the panels. And it helps here to get the right tools for tapping the ends and also to connect everything. Rounded Allen wrenches really help a lot. So I'll link everything I used in the description. Also put Loctite on every thread you assemble, right, so it doesn't rattle loose as the van drives down the road. So as I built out the cabinet, I would do multiple test fits, make sure the batteries would fit, and then once partially assembled, test fit in the van itself to ensure it could be installed and would connect to the van in the correct place. Once the frame was built, I cut panels from 1/4-inch Baltic birch to start forming the sides of the cabinet. After sanding and painting, it really started to take shape. Batteries on the left, wheel well lower right, and the component section up top. Now it's just a matter of finishing the assembly, connecting the pieces, and adding the panels. Here's the section that goes around the wheel well and attaching the components. At this point, it's really starting to look like a finished part of the van, not just framing, but an actual cabinet built for the electrical system. So now it's time to install it in the van. To mount everything solidly, I bolted aluminum bar stock directly to the van's structural beams and then attached the cabinet to those aluminum framing pieces. That holds the cabinet firmly in place and leaves space behind it as well for a wire pass through. So with the cabinet fully in place, we can test fit the batteries and slide the rear panels in. And these are just so you don't see the insulation when opening the electrical cabinet. You can see 2 battery bays on the left, the lower wheel well section and upper area for electrical components. And here's the final position from front to back. Everything's lined up with the van structure and bolted down tight. And here's how it looks with the batteries in and the inverter hung on the side, and further on in the process as well with the doors and the top on. And that's it for the electrical cabinet build. This setup makes the electrical system secure, easy to access, and cleaner overall. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next video will be how the electrical all fits together and gets connected to make it all work. And here are links to my previous videos on shore power and alternator charging installation. So be sure to check those out.